Hey guys, college football update, week 3. This is going to be the second time that we post this video to YouTube. Used to have a 5-minute time limit. To be honest with you, I'm not going to do that necessarily. I'm going to try to keep it short, but it's going to give me a little bit more time to say what I want to say. So it's just me, Patrick Byrne, and my penguin, Roger, behind me. So if you have a question for me or for Roger, for that matter, just submit your Ask Roger question each week, and I'll do my best to answer it. For those of you that have not watched this before, I am a huge Notre Dame fan, so I always start with that, and then I move on from there. So let's start with the Notre Dame-Vandy game. Notre Dame wins 22-17. I said this in previous videos. Notre Dame's going to lose 3 games this year. Nothing that I've seen will tell me otherwise. The defense is pretty good, definitely above average, and the offense is average to below average, depending on the game and depending on how Wimbush is playing. Wimbush is not a quarterback. That's pretty obvious. You need to be able to throw the ball to a point to be a quarterback, and that is not him. But he's a great athlete, so hopefully he can make something happen with his feet, which had a little bit more ability to do that in the Vandy game, which was good. Tony Jones Jr., not a feature running back whatsoever, had a good game, though. I think he had 118 yards, so that was great. But if you're relying on the Tony Joneses of the world to be your feature running back, you're not going to be an elite program, and Notre Dame is not an elite program. I will say this, even though I'm a fan, there is absolutely no way this is the 8th best team in the country. I don't see it. Washington, for instance, I think is better, and Washington is below Notre Dame in the rankings. But it's fine. Number 8 is certainly better than where they would have been 10 years ago, and we'll get to that in a little bit because I want to talk about Florida State as well and where they are, and in comparison to what that would have been for Notre Dame a little while ago. But Wake Forest coming up, going to be a tough game. Wake, I love Dave Clawson. I absolutely love this guy. Again, it's my thing. If anybody can win at a program like Wake, and I don't mean any disrespect to Wake, but it's a tough place to win. It's basically the Vanderbilt of the ACC, so it's very difficult to win at Wake, and he's won. He's had some success. So anybody that can do that at a place like Wake, I'm a little scared of. So should be an interesting game for Notre Dame. Let's move on to LSU Auburn. Great win for LSU. It's interesting because 2 great defenses going against one another. Okay, I will say I thought coming in anyway that Auburn had the better defense. I still kind of think they've got an amazing defense. It's certainly at least defensive line wise anyway. But I would not have thought that LSU could have pulled that game out. But they did, and it helps because LSU now has Burrow. So when you have a quarterback who can actually throw the ball around, hint hint Notre Dame, then it definitely helps. You figure out how to pull a game like that out. So really great win for LSU. Good win for Orgeron. His seat's pretty hot. I'm not really sure why, but I mean it's hot. I think the expectations are extremely high, but that's what you get for being in the same conference as Alabama. Moving on to Alabama. Now, my wife is an Alabama fan. I've got a best friend who's an Alabama fan, so I had to watch this whole game. Okay. Which is so bad because they're so good that you get tired of it. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the best way. It's whoever they play, they're never in it. The team is never in it that they're playing against. And I'm not going to say that when they play LSU, maybe LSU will give them more of a game. When they play Auburn, maybe they'll give them more of a game. Let's hope that's the case. Just for us as college football fans, because good God, man, I mean, to score 62 unanswered points and for me to have to sit through all of it, it's no good. I will say this too, Southern Cal had some incredible teams with Reggie Bush. Texas obviously had a really good game or a really good team with Vince Young, and I can name various different teams of the past 20, 25 years. Nebraska in the mid-90s, incredible teams. I don't think I've seen a team this good. I mean, I'm serious. I don't. I don't know who is going to be able to compete with Alabama at this point. Apparently, their secondary was an issue coming into the season. I don't see it. I think they're fine. So, again, Clemson fans will tell me, Clemson can play with them. Ohio State can play with them. If Alabama had played TCU, the score would have been 52-6. That's my thought. I really think that. It certainly wouldn't have been 40-28. And I get it. You don't have Urban Meyer at Ohio State and everything else. I get it. There could be the various different things you could say, but just honestly don't see anybody beating this team. So we'll see. Surprise teams for me so far, Kansas. I've got to listen. I've said a lot of bad things about Kansas over the last couple of weeks. I feel kind of bad, but they're 55 points against Rutgers. Rutgers is atrocious. I will give you that. I think Rutgers may have usurped Kansas as the worst college football team, which is fine. But Kansas 55-14 after going 31-7 the week before against Central Michigan. Man, they are on a roll. I mean, seriously, that's as many points as they scored probably in 1 year. A couple years ago. So great for them. I mean, hell, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Kansas turns it around and wins a bunch of games. I don't necessarily see it happening looking at their schedule, but they could. They could win another one or two, and I mean that's a huge improvement to go 5-7 versus where they were before. So we'll see. Maybe me and people like me, we pulled the plug a little too early, right, on some of these programs. But I mean, you would think the plug would have been pulled at 3-33, but now David Beatty is 5-34. So trying to turn around. We'll see what happens. North Texas, Conference USA. I get it. Nobody cares. I understand. I care because there has to be a Group of 5 team that makes noise. Could be North Texas. North Texas is 3-0. Just throttled Arkansas. Again, I understand. It's Chad Morris. Got a different system and everything else than Bielema had, so he doesn't necessarily have the players, but they got throttled. I mean, North Texas, they're playing really good football. So going to be interesting to see what happens with them to see if they can make some noise. BYU, great win against Wisconsin. BYU needs wins like that. Being an independent, don't necessarily have a bowl tie-in, so they need to do something. Satake is turning that around, man. So, again, a little surprising. I think they were 4-8 last year. So, great win. I mean, it's Wisconsin football. I mean, Wisconsin wins games like that normally by 3 points, but they lost by 3 points. So, if you're a Wisconsin fan, I wouldn't necessarily freak out about it. It stinks because now you're probably out of the playoff. I don't know how you can get back in, but you're Wisconsin. I mean, this is what you do. So 10-2 for Wisconsin, you should be very happy with that every year, year in, year out. Again, and I'm not berating it at all. As a Notre Dame fan, I'd love to win 10 games a year. They don't, but I would love for them to do that. Duke and BC. Did you ever think that Duke and BC would seriously be the second best teams in the ACC? I mean, who would have thought that? But man, they're both tough outs. I mean, Duke has a great offense. Baylor, I think, is much improved, and I love Matt Rule, the head coach at Baylor. I think he's got him playing well, but great win for Duke. And I mean, BC, man, I mean, they just whipped up on Wake. I get it was a 7-point game. I understand that, but BC is so physical. I mean, they really are. Very, very, very physical team. So, would not want to play them this year. Very happy that my team doesn't have to. Some of the teams that I'm a little surprised about how they are faring so far. Nebraska, not entirely shocked by that. They're 0-2, but when you lose Martinez, who was a freshman anyway, but you lose him and you bring in a walk-on, you can't really expect to win. So, and Troy's tough. I mean, Troy obviously beat LSU last year. Sorry, LSU fans, but it did happen. So Troy's a tough out. But I didn't necessarily expect them to beat Nebraska, but I don't know. We'll see. They'll be fine. Scott Frost is definitely the right guy for that job. Purdue, 0-3. Wouldn't have expected it. I get it's Purdue, but I was kind of thinking they might have done some stuff this year. So I don't know. It's kind of going off the rails pretty quick. So they got to turn it around. But we'll see. Florida State. I mean, this is not a good look. Taggart has got to turn this around very quickly because he is going to be on an extremely short leash. If he goes 4-8 this year, 5-7 next year, are they really going to keep him for a third year? I don't think so. So got to turn it around. Got to do it quick. They look completely discombobulated. Syracuse is tough. It's a weird offense, and it's very fast. I get it, but 30-7. I mean, not good. Nobody goes into the Carrier Dome and expects to come away a winner, at least right now. Anyway, all right, guys. We will see you next week, and hope everybody enjoys the games. See ya.